running the show. Marissa is the mod, we have nice mods too. Jamima gets the docs, don't you know? They're the ones yelling at Baker all day. Yelling at Baker all day. Hey, hey, hey. Yelling at Baker all day. Hey, hey, hey. Yelling at Baker all day. Hey, hey, hey. Making sure he hears what they say. Jamie leads with power every day. Marissa keeps the order, come what may. Jamima brings the files without delay. This strong team is here to stay. Yelling at Baker all day. Hey, hey, hey. Yelling at Baker all day. Hey, hey, hey. Yelling at Baker all day. Hey, hey, hey. Jamie, Marissa, Jamima, we have nice mods too. They're the ones yelling at Baker all day. Yelling at Baker all day. Hey, hey, hey. Yelling at Baker all day. Hey, hey, hey. Yelling at Baker all day. Hey, hey, hey. Jamie, Marissa, Jamima, we have nice mods too. Yeah!
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. And welcome to Monday, Fun Day, Not a Sunday. I don't know why I say stuff that I say, but probably because I ate a lot of lead paint when I was a kid. I did it for the flavor. And today will be a Karen-centric stream because I was reading those 3,494 pages that was dropped in relation to the Karen Reed, John O'Keefe trial. Most of it we've seen kind of before. There is some tidbits in there where you're thinking, oh my. Stuff like Brian Albert and Nicole arrived at the waterfall at the same time. No, you didn't. There's some holes in the explanations and stuff like that, but I don't know. Some of it you could probably take, dissect, and I know a lot of great people are doing that on the Twit Sweat right now. But today I will do the funny part because I will go to the last 27 pages, which is Karen's crying about Karen. I did a word count yesterday just for giggles and giggles. And Turtle Boy is mentioned 63 times in those 3,494 pages. Aiden is mentioned 109 times. Aiden misspelled is 101 times, so that's 210 times. So Turtle Boy is roughly mentioned 273 times. But he is beaten out by the private citizen who no one knows, and that's why she should not be harassed online and is absolutely not. You can't use a slap lawsuit against her because she's mentioned 552 times. The Saint Jennifer Jen McCabe. Interesting, especially because a lot of people mention Jen McCabe. So Jen McCabe will be probably a limited public figure, at least in connection to anti-slap lawsuit or motion. You want to see me in pink? Well, then you have to find a team jersey that's pink and I can wear it. I don't think I have any pink shirts. I used to have a pink polo shirt. Don't know where it is. Hey, maybe. I'm blue, da ba dee ba ba blue, ba da ba dee. I'm blue, da ba dee ba blue. The normal soccer mom, yes, she is in there. Then seems to the time that gets around. The rumor is in more ways than one. Can I just say I have this coffee pot system from, I don't know, not Nespresso, the other one. And I buy some off-market pots because they're cheaper, and I'm a poor boy, and I don't have an Amazon wish list even. And I saw they had Irish coffee pots. Oh my God, they're good. Oh my God, they're good. It tastes like coffee with a shot of Bailey's in it. It's probably a billion million calories, but it tastes almost like you're drinking whiskey. That's good. I cannot believe they bought a salamander suit against Karen and Turtleboy. And yes, my other correct is a correct into salamander, and I'm not going to change it. I think we should all call it a salamander suit from now on. Well, you find out later in life. Oh my. Oh my. You haven't met our king, I can hear. Drink your coffee black now. You know, they say once you go black, yeah, you get stomach aches and stuff like that. I used to drink a lot of coffee when I was a baker, and because I had my period of heavy drinking, I might have fucked up a little bit in my stomach with some ulcers. Can't really do black coffee anymore. I don't wear white. I think I had one white t-shirt. I don't know. I don't know. Hello, Gilly B. And even though you're not a real country, welcome. Well, that's where they spend most of the time when I'm not streaming. So, but don't tell the ladies that, Kesima. But I hope everyone had a nice weekend. I thought that I didn't stream that much during the weekend. Well, you streamed every day. Well, I streamed once on my own channel. Not that much. But I hope everyone had a nice weekend. I saw Twit has been going insane. Two things I don't think was a good idea. Me being allowed to have a YouTube channel and Twitter Spaces. It seems like if they're on Twitter Spaces, people say a lot of dumb stuff. Oh yeah, I have two one long sleeved hoodie. Yeah. That's right. So that was fun. But I also like that I have been calling a lot of people idiots. I can't get over how they can't get over that Karen Reed was found not guilty. Karen Reed hit John O'Keefe with his car. When? Well, you can see the diffuser is blown. Been tried in court. Move on. Hey, Rhonda Hink, 69. Became a YouTube member. Thank you so much. $69 for 69. I deleted Twitter, but I missed the info shared there. Well, it's good to pick up because when you have a data dump like this, you can go and steal what other people have found interesting in there because I have had quite the weekend with my personal stuff. So I've been a little out of the loop, and I sat and read yesterday before I went on with Massa Media, and it's nice that you can just go, oh yeah, I didn't see this one. But sometimes you go on Twitter and you get into fights with Sue from Boston. I don't know why. It's the boiler, not the diffuser. Well, no, the boiler was the one that made his head injury. That's what they said. So that's how it goes sometimes. But who was able to get this data? I believe it was Corey who got it. And this is from what I'm going to show today is all of it is put in here by Brandon Hunt from, I think that stands for Norfolk. As you can see, this one is from Michael Morrissey to Caleb Schillinger, Lally Bally, Holly Brennan, McLaughlin, and Mary Ellen Gray. Subject forward. Potential jury tampering. Please take serious. And he forwarded a message from Porshia Pelican. That's a name I haven't seen anywhere. And you will see a billion million times today, because almost all of it, will be forwarded from Porshia Pelican. I asked, I think yesterday, who was on, who was behind this. Don't dox anyone. Don't call anyone. We have to preference this because they claim that we want you to harass people. But there's another one that is Skip You on the Twitch sweat, but she's there with her own name and everyone knows her. But I don't know who Porshia Pelican is. I have never seen that name. But I think all of these pages, some of them are redacted as screenshots and stuff like that. But all of this is sent from her. So I'm a little, who's this lady? Oh, this man? I don't know. Leslie says, buy some of that coffee that tastes like alcohol. Irish whiskey. I will when I have to re-up my own. I was like, I'll try and buy one box of them just to see how it tastes. I need more of that. It has that little tingy ting to it that the Irish whiskey has. And you don't have to get drunk. Probably get diabetes, but hey, better than being drunk. Porshia, isn't that a stripper name? No, that's a car. I sent a public records request and NDO to NDNO and keep getting. What was this one from you, Marissa? We get so many things but I think Corey has had a lot out there. Honest to Pete, I don't understand a single word that comes out of the ICU ladies' analysis of getting into the bits and bytes of all the rare videos that are still in existence. You ladies? Did you just presume my gender? I am a sir. Corey helped us all to be able to get it. Yeah. Well, Corey was the one who did start the avalanche. So this is different than what Emily and Kyle got. No, it's probably the same document. It's 3,494 pages. I'm not going to go through 3,494 pages because most of it is, this is my deposition of Brian Albert, and we have seen that before. This is a request that Alan Jackson made. This is a letter from Dave Yannetti saying, no, there is no Karen Reed crew behind this. I'm not going to go through all of that. I'm just going to go through all of this because it's the Karens from the internet who complains. And I thought that's funny. I don't have a lot of humor. Hello. I started this gangster. Hello. Look at the things I get. Hello. Hello. Albeit I did not agree with the Karen Reid verdict, I accepted it. However, what's come out after the fact is very much concerning jury tampering and the Commonwealth not being able to show a jury of actual peers. And instead of people who seem likely already to had a position and were in fact checking social media, that's not justice. I know the verdict remains. But I please implore you to take the next step of checking in the jurors to see about their tampering and or lying to get on the jury. I can put together a PDF of what I've seen online from the jurors, so please let me know if it would be of help, and somehow a format citizen complaint. But I'll leave you this. And yes, I will read it as it is. I know that she meant a formal citizen complaint, but it makes it better that she spells as badly as I do. Yeah, you need to get into the skip mode. Just, no, I've seen this before. Skip, skip. So, but I'll leave you at this. Court order, jurors, and juror issues. Blatant disregard of the evidence and coming in with own preconceived theories. The defense did not even present this. It's a conspiracy theory type of thing because I think she maybe back up and touch him somehow. Maybe he lost his shoe in this movement and got upset, and then she left. And so either he got out of her way or something. Maybe he lost his shoe in this process. But in my opinion, he definitely went inside and something happened inside the house. And then you have a little hyperlink. And that hyperlink, oh, I need to have the other one open because I didn't copy the hyperlinks, I think. No. The other one is quite a bit bigger than this one, but we'll get to it. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. As you can see, this is quite a bit bigger PDF file. But no, I don't think I can. Can I do this on another screen while I do this on this screen? Because I don't want to do this on this screen. I want this on this screen. It's almost like I am a professional streamer. But there's a Julie Carr reference in there. And that leads to a tweet twat with a clip from John O'Keefe deserved better than a juror laughing as she admits she believes a conspiracy theory. This is an injustice. And this is the lovely Paula Prado, who everyone hated because she didn't say what they wanted. Then they used racist remarks about her because she was from Brazil and thought that she spoke Spanish because these numbskulls don't know they don't speak Spanish in Brazil because they have never been outside of Canton and don't know that there's a country called Portugal, even though the Colliaquites are from Portugal. But that was the first hyperlink. I never sent an email like this in my life, but something is very wrong. A concerned citizen. This is from Morrissey to Schillinger, Gilman, Colley, Lally, McLaughlin. Potential jury tampering. Please take serious. This is from Cindy Gilman. No, this is from Morrissey to Cindy Gilman. And again, it's from Porshia Pelican. How the false narrative gets spread online. So I just posted above above about the new Gararag conspiracy that dropped the other night via Defense, Turtle Boy, and Redacted. The result ends up being this, see below. People then actually believe it. This is how it's spread. A lot is one line. I'm going to keep you posted. I would love someone would do that to me. I would block you faster than you could spell mummy. And it's a Joey Bag of Donuts. The Albert Garage on 34 Fairview. Did John maybe go grab a beer in the garage? So, clearly a conspiracy theory. Defense is still in messaging for Karen Reed mode. Defense is still pushing the murder in the garage, even though they won the acquittal. Timestamp 248. And that's leading to probably a Aiden video, maybe. Oh, this is on. This gets a little confusing. I should have done all of this before. Nah, doesn't mean you did something correctly. Nah, I don't care. No, neither do I. I know you don't. No, this is this will go to a microdots. Microdot response flips the McAlbert script. Karen Reed. That's the video that she linked to in this one. Plus, coupled with redacted garage theory in my previous email, it is interesting that redacted, Turtle Boy, and Defense all seems to have the same talking point. Interesting. I have to interject some humor. Yes, cops are going to leave this murder scene in the basement. Commonwealth, we are with you. Many are on your side and want justice for the O'Keefes. You prove beyond a reasonable doubt. I believe the jury lied to get on the stand, or were influenced with Turtle Boy, social media, and they like to judge see every day when they said they didn't check social media. All of this, of course, is something that this person have voluminous evidence of, that they liked to judge Canoni every day. Maybe they meant lied. What do I know? This is my third language, and I'm dyslexic. Maybe I just don't get what she meant. That's pronounced Garara in Canton. Yes. I know. I don't know much, but I know Garararash is the correct way to pronounce it in Canton. But Canton also pronounces Norfolk as Norfolk. So, and then we get some nice screenshots. Look how cool someone is on the Ian Roy. And it's clip weird. This is all we can see. So I don't know what it is. But Runkle is mentioned twice in this text. Turtle Boy show, gash in the back of the John O'Keefe said, not allowed to speak. It was a great question. And then again, Microdot's video of the garage. Porshia Pelican, part 18. It's not in chronological order. I'm sorry if you're trying to take notes and do the test at the end of the stream, you might be a little confused because it goes back and forth in time. Morrissey didn't do his forwarding timely. A movement is growing. People are fed up and standing behind the Commonwealth. This is not my post below, but yesterday and today a huge movement is growing online. We were respectful and waiting for a verdict. We accepted the verdict, but the jurors show we did not get a fair trial. And then they put in something from Luke 3 Wilkinson, who you can't read. And funny enough, if you hit the hyperlink, this page does not exist anymore. But it's the thing that the McAlberts were out there, demand court reform after Karen Read trial. Send it to your legislators. I think Krusty was one of the ones who talked a lot about this one. But that huge movement, well, at least Luke doesn't have this post on his twit anymore. What's the point of doing this after the trial? The point is Karen really wants to talk to the manager. Don't you understand these evil peoples on the internet who harass him and destroys all these evil people led by Turtle Boy? We need to stop it, Courtney. If nothing else comes from today, I beg of you that you will join me in a huge movement in stopping all of this, because they liked to judge C. All these evil jurors. It's very important. Porshia Pelican keeps going. She's not giving up like the rest of us. Jen McCabe, talking points. Oh, we couldn't believe everything Jen McCabe was saying. It didn't make much sense. Whoa, this talking point sounds every familiar. And the link to this one is this is from Grant Smith Ellis. The link is to Grant Smith Ellis. Who in the world is John O'Keefe and Karen Read retrial juror Paula Prado Seraglio dos Santos? That's back when, before everyone thought that Grant was all of a sudden the greatest person in the world, and Grant was yelling rapist at Aiden every day outside of court and attacking anyone who was on the right side, the side that Grant now have joined. So I know everyone likes a converted sinner, but be wary of Grant. I don't think his very high herb abuse is good for his brain. Just put caution into whenever you believe Grant. Just because he said one thing right doesn't mean he didn't spend a lot of time trying to destroy people. Mistrust of cops. Question, and then there's a Google Drive. I'm not hitting a hyperlink to a Google Drive because I did it once with a certain Lisp guy, and I'm not giving them my data. Seems to be a lot of question on cops. Curious if the juror lied on all of these. Comment from redacted after just 2 days after the trial. He's now fighting for justice against cops and to look for the real killer. I wonder whose narrative this helped. I'm not sure jurors act like this after trials. I'm dumbfounded. He is giving the O'Keefe's advice on what to do next. Very, very rich. And the hyperlink is again back to that's the Grant Smith Ellis with Paula Prado. I think if the community in general were able to get together and gather information and support and financially help for Karen Read in this case, if they were able to do this for her, I think we now have to do the same thing for John O'Keefe and John O'Keefe's family. Corruption. It's not Michael Proctor is a cancer. Corruption is a cancer. I think this is a AI text. And I'm from a Latin country. We know Brazil. We had many cases with corruption, and I'm from Rio de Janeiro. Is one of the most dangerous places in Brazil, and it speaks to me, this case, because it's injustice, it's police corruption, and how many people are in jail right now because of the bad investigation, because of a bias of police officer and investigator, because of a bad system, because of lack of money to have good lawyers like Alan Jackson's Mobilier. Again, I think this is AI. So, and David, and Doctor, I don't want to forget her. She was very spot on. She didn't take the stand, but she was always there with the documents. Like, we found her work incredible. So the message is, let's continue to fight for justice for John O'Keefe. We cannot let corruption run the country. in any level, police level, government level. We have the power. We are people. We have the power, and we have to use this power. We need to get away from fake news, get away from nonsense, no sense social media. Look for the root of the problem. Look for real journalists, real news, real information, and fight and continue complaining and protest and do what needs to be done for a better society. I have young children, so I wanted them to grow up in a better place and a safer place. Do you have a message for the news media? Please don't lie. Don't create stories and make people confused and you. So this is an interview she did outside of the courtroom. Exactly. But in Porshia Pelican's eyes, that's not what a jury is supposed to do. A jury is supposed to do what Porshia Pelican wants. Garage door theory post-trial. I think, again, it's Paula Prado and Turtle Boy. Turtle Boy post on garage door the same day. This is the inside of garage on 34 Fairview Road. This aligns with the patterns on John's head laceration. We've all seen the picture with the red paint on the little curb thingy in the garage that has been going around, and people thought, oh, this is blood. No, it's not. It's red paint, but still, this little ledge could fit with the back of John's head. Who benefits from the garage door theory even after the case is over? Her theory on the garage door. Transcript. Cover the garage door, and I wonder why can't we see the garage door? Why Dr. La Posada couldn't speak about what she saw in the picture. This was objected to. It wasn't on the record, I think, but she said something about, I saw real estate pictures, she said in court, and then objected, and they objected. And we needed to not consider that question. But once the word is out, I wonder why what was inside the house that we couldn't hear about it, or why we couldn't see the picture of the garage. It is such a challenge to me. And that's the big problem with all of these objections. Regard the last statement. No, you cannot put toothpaste back in the tube. It's out. They will, of course, put it in there. Well, Colleen, I hope you brought candy for everyone, because if you are in here late, you have to give everyone a piece of candy. We play by elementary school rules. June 22, Porshia Pelican, part 16. Obviously, we want free Karen Read and acquittal, but would that be worse for me? Suppose she's acquitted. Are they going to blame me? That's what I'm wondering. Like, fuck this guy. She got away with it because of him, his witness intimidation. He influenced the jury pool, and now he's going to pay the price. Pay the price, you idiot. That's the only thing I'm wondering about Aiden. Misspelled Aiden. Video attached. I'm not alone. And again, no one else but the wonderful Judy Carr. For those of us who loves her as much as I do, she's, of course, Big Red. We don't know her as anything other than Big Red, the queen of filters. And this is her tweet. Once again, in the murder of John O'Keefe, we have bad takes coming from LawTubers, content creators, that's me, and Reed's own lawyer. As if it wasn't enough, they helped contribute to feeding a mob with lies, thereby tainting a jury pool. Now they are telling us to look the other way when it comes to the fame-seeking jurors who sought out the media and went a press tour, including providing headshots to be printed with their story, who are freely saying questionable things and appear to not have been truthful when they were chosen. It is not normal for a juror to admit the first thing they did after giving the verdict was to get on Twitter and begin following Free Can Read talking heads in the jury room. There's no law against it. Absolutely no law against it. You go on a press tour. I haven't seen anyone go on a press tour since the Murdoch trial. Mention witnesses from the first trial who did not testify in this trial. He's allowed to look up the case after. No, Big Red. You spent way too much time calibrating your filter, so you don't look like you do in the real life, but she is allowed to do that. Call out the victim's family and tell them they need to search for the real killers because Karen Reed was not the killer. That's what innocent means. Well, she was never found innocent because there's no one in any courtroom in America who is found innocent, because you are innocent until proven guilty. Well, that's an old sentiment. That means you're innocent. He's not guilty. He's innocent. That's Spanish for innocent. Laugh while admitting they believed in a conspiracy. Say multiple times the cost of the trial factored into their decision. The idea that we should ignore the possibility that any juror lied to get on the jury is disturbing, and yet another bad take. Poor John, he deserved better. He did. John deserved way better. Imagine if he hadn't made friends with the McAlberts. But Porshia Pelican is not alone. I will speculate on this, and I just notice a pattern. They link to Grant and they link to Big Red. Grant normally has his grammar to the T. You can say a lot about him. He is an idiot. He is a man who attacks women. He's a man who screams rapist after Aiden. And now everyone loves him because he changed his mind. But Big Red, he does have some spelling mistakes now and again. And I'm not implying or saying anything. I'm just speculating. Hey, Lauren. How are you doing? I cannot get over how much propaganda and lies that Julie, a.k.a. Peg Bundy, spreads on Twitter daily. This chick seriously needs to be stopped. That's why when I saw all of this and I saw that the main person mentioned as the reliable source is Big Red, who doesn't look anything like her profile picture. Just, if anyone have seen her in real life, you probably wouldn't recognize her. I'm just speculating. Maybe Big Red knows Porshia Pelican. Exactly. Blame the state for trying to convict the wrong person. But they don't do that. Why wouldn't you tell Peg O'Keefe, get your head out your ass, stop looking at Karen as the only suspect, start asking questions. Why did the police do such a bad job? Why did evidence land on top of snow that hadn't fallen yet? Does it make sense to you, Peggy, if you're not out there giving the Canton salute? Does it make sense to you if you sit at home at night, alone at night, when Peg has been on her social media and Big Red and the rest of all these wonderful people have boosted her ego? Do you think she ever wonders, why did my son deserve this bad of an investigation? Why did my son not have a custody report? Why didn't they have a system? Because now there are new allegations that Proctor wasn't even supposed to work that day, but that was just because they didn't get the system to work and he was slotted in and he had changed the shift, and it's absolutely not because someone wanted Proctor to be the lead investigator. Does she ever think the respect this community claims they had for my son went away when I saw in court how poorly they did the investigation? Adam Lally, at some point in these 3,494 pages, asks the crime investigator, not the crime scene, crime analysis, Can you tell me where the hair on the car came from? What body part? But he never asked, do we know who else's DNA John O'Keefe had on his pants? If I was Peggy, and I know we're not allowed to talk bad about her, she lost her kids. I feel very sorry for her kids. The people who tell me I'm not allowed to talk bad about her is the same people who said, well, your mom is probably happy she died, so she didn't have to see her son being such a fuck up. But put that aside, because they're the good people. Peggy, this has been almost 5 years. 2022, right? You saw 2 trials. You have seen dump after dump after dump after dump of evidence coming out that the Canton and MSP police didn't give a shit about your son. They gave him less of an investigation than your normal neighborhood crackhead got. And you are still singing the song praising the Commonwealth. At this point, you have to wonder why. I would have questions. We have questions. There's 600 people here now. We have questions. That's why we could just say, well, fuck Karen Reed, it is over. But we like to watch all of this stuff to see how bad they treated John O'Keefe. Why is it? I know why the McAlberts don't care. But if I was Paul O'Keefe, if I was Peggy O'Keefe, because I actually think that Daddy O'Keefe, there's a reason why we never hear from him. But why don't you ask that question? Why didn't you sue the MSP for bad investigation? Why are you so blinded that it's only Karen who could have been at fault? It reminds me a little bit about the alien family. He's not one of us. Yeah, the rubber duck investigation had more pages than John O'Keefe's death investigation. And it had more photos, I believe. Did you happen to check how many times John was mentioned in those docs? I bet less than Jen. Have it open over here. John. I'll just run a search on John O'Keefe. He should be the most mentioned because this is his investigation. So I would be surprised if Jen had more than him. Yeah, it's taking up fast. Oh, he will win by far. Just the fact that they drove to a funeral in New York City for an officer they didn't know, but their bestie John, they could not be bothered to go to his funeral. Exactly. Just look at the Kelsey Fitzsimmons trial. Kelsey Fitzsimmons, who was a police officer and got shot by another police officer. I know they were not there to support her, but how many cops were in the courtroom when the verdict was read? Lauren, what's your guess? 15, 20 cops were in the courtroom when she was found not guilty. There is the cop, McDouling, the guy who pew-pewed the runaway driver. His courtroom was filled with police officers. Not one cop showed up in uniform for any pre-trial hearing or any court date in John O'Keefe's murder cases or trials. John O'Keefe's murder trials. John O'Keefe is mentioned 684 times, so he is mentioned 132 times more than Jen. Make of that what you want. 50-20, yeah. Not one single one showed up to support their fallen brother. Well, there was the one who showed up and pushed Karen Reed. If Tooth McCabe had said, "Officer down," this would all have been so different. They knew that. Yeah. It is very beautiful out here as well. I took instead of going to the gym today, I took a good, nice, long walk around in the woods and got some sun. It was wonderful. Yeah, that blue line was very thick against John O'Keefe. Mm-mm. Did I see what the Florida cop said about it? No, I didn't see what the Florida cop said about it. I saw someone say he should not say that, but I didn't see his statement. Was solo cops and a leaf blower? There are train tracks right behind the house. We're talking about the guys that know how to get rid of body and make it look like a suicide more than anyone. Yeah, but again, I said this when everyone was speculating on what happened. I said, I don't know who did what. I know Karen Reed did not hit him with a car because, as you might know, I do jury duty. And I have had 3 cases with people who have been, it's been manslaughter cases because there was no malice or forethought about it. It was accidents. But 3 cases where people have died by impact of car. One of them was a transport truck on the freeway. He ended up in the wrong lane. He crossed the intersection, and a guy slammed right into him. I don't know if you know, but if you hit a 40-ton truck with a 1-ton car, and you're both going at speed, there's not a lot left to do. Well, his upper body was fine, most of it, broken chest and stuff like that. His lower body, not so much. Then we had another one that got hit by a car. Someone had a diabetes flare up and passed out, drove off, rammed into a person, and broke both their legs, and they slammed their head, passed away, accident. And the last one was a guy who had been out delivering stuff, fell asleep, and ran straight into a guy on a bicycle. That guy on the bicycle actually was quite fine, except he broke a lot of bones in his body because he was thrown up, hit the front, the windshield, and got thrown into a ditch. Those pictures, actually, surprisingly little blood comes out of that one. The guy who got his lower body decapitated. There was a lot of blood in that one. But none of them had scratches on the forearm, a small impact in the back of their head, boxer eyes, and a slight little mark on their knee. All of them, the truck on truck, his lower body was gone. It was laying in the footwell of the car. 2 broken legs for the other one. And the one with the bike, broken arm, and I think a couple of broken ribs. That's why I didn't believe this story to begin with. And normal people shouldn't believe any of this. And this is why I say this is a shitty investigation. That's just my opinion. But that's why I believe if you wanted to hide this murder or you wanted to have an explanation, just say John O'Keefe was in the house. We were down in the basement. We were out in the garage. And he was really drunk. That's why he had puke all over his clothes. Funny enough, no one ever talks about that except us. He had puke all over his clothes because at some point he was going down the stairs to the garage. He fell and hit his head and got up, and he was kind of confused, and he puked because So we said, hey, John, for God's sake, we need to call you an ambulance. He said, well, fuck you guys. And he left. And then Jen looked out and he wasn't out there. So we thought, okay, he Ubered someone or he called an ambulance or whatever happened. And he must have then started walking home, fell over in the snow, and passed away. That could have been an easy explanation. That's why that's what I would have done to explain this. But because you could make this look like a slip and fall. Or you could say he got into the basement, Cora got out, he got in his arm, and he fell. And he had been sick down his plants, and so Cora, because dogs like to eat vomit because it's food for them, not for us. Stack, don't eat your own vomit. And then when he said, get away from me, he grabbed onto him and he slipped backwards. And then he left the house and said, fuck all of you and your stupid dog. And then we were very surprised he was dead the next day. All of these stories are a better story than Karen Reed backed up her car 64 feet, hit John O'Keefe, who just stood in the middle of the road like a deer in headlights, only bumped the back of his head, had no injuries consistent with being struck by a car. The car took off into space. Jen made a PBJ sandwich in the backseat of a car, and Coco was cleaning while singing It's Raining Men. That story gets too confusing. Lack of evidence is what you guys have of the cops. Well, Green Eyes, let's say it's Green Eyes. Green Eyes, do you know why we have lack of evidence? Let me count the ways. You cannot tell me if you believe this was a good investigation and all of this is Karen Reed's fault. Fair. Let's take that position. Explain to me why you don't know who was at the scene at the same time as the search team. Why are there 3 unnamed officers at the scene? Because that's not keeping correct crime scene protocol. Can you tell me why evidence wasn't collected and locked the correct way? Even though we believe Proctor now, they left it in that little side room so it could dry. Why didn't they lock it in the logbook? So you don't have a chain of custody of the evidence. Why didn't anyone photograph the crime scene in a way so you could go back and reconstruct it? If you go and watch any trial, you will see evidence markers, you will see close-ups, you will see establishing shots. What you saw in this was someone who held their phone up, kind of like when I tried to do a dirty picture to the ladies. You didn't see anything. Why are there so many mistakes in the reports? Why did every report get written so long after the incident? Why don't we know who had what evidence at what time? Why did they alter the evidence by inverting the video? Why did they lie about the videos being overwritten every 30 days when they then found video that hadn't been overwritten 3 years later? Why don't we know why Proctor was having a shift that day? Because the system just didn't have him. Why did Higgins lie about talking to Goody, even though we know he went into the room Goody was sitting in? Why did Deaver change her statements? Why did Julie Nagel change her statement? Why did Jen McCabe change her statement? Why did Brian Higgins change his statement? Why did Coco change her statement? Why did Kerry Roberts change her statement? Why did Michael Proctor lie in the report about when the car was towed? Why is there not one single picture taken of the truck when it arrived at Canton PD? If all of these basic, simple, normal procedures had been upheld, Karen Reed would have been found guilty. Because the jury would have said, well, at least the evidence is there. Yeah, he didn't have the injuries that we suspected he would have with a car strike, but at least they can prove all of that. If you go back and listen to the foreman, the statement was they brought up witness after witness, and none of them were believable. So I might not have the evidence against the cops, but what do I know? That the Commonwealth twice couldn't prove Karen's guilt beyond any reasonable doubt, which tells me you guys have no evidence. They even brought in the proverbial ham sandwich in this case. It wasn't even the joke about the grand jury. There was an actual ham sandwich mentioned in this. They tried everything. Well, ARCA was colluding with the defense. No, they didn't change their report from what they told the FBI before they came in. Josh Levy was corrupt. Adam Deitch is corrupt. Everyone's corrupt. All of you guys have no evidence of any of that other than, well, they use Signal. You know what? I have Signal on my phone too, and I haven't committed murder yet. Signal know you make a murderer. Signal know you make evil. Signal is an encrypted service. You know, this is going to be a surprise for you. If you use TwitTwit, Messenger, WhatsApp, even your phone's messenger service, all of those are encrypted as well. I know it's a big surprise for you. Encrypted means that Zach doesn't get to steal my nudie pics. He tries to hack my phone daily to get my nudie pics. I've told him it's $5 a month on another site. That's what encryption means, because as we know now from the Karen Reed Turtle Boy lawsuit, apparently they can also hack part of Signal now. So there's no nefarious areas in that. But do you know what's nefarious areas? Lying to the FBI. Admitting perjury. If I was you and thinking I'm on the wrong side, I would demand that Carrie Roberts was held in contempt because she perjured herself on the stand. She bamboozled all of you people who believed that Karen did this because Carrie Roberts lied. She admitted to lying in court. If I was you, I would demand that Carrie Roberts was held, charged with perjury charges. I would demand that Jen McCabe face perjury charges. Because remember, you are for justice. Or are you? Are you just in it because you don't really give a shit? You just don't like Aiden or Karen? I don't know. I just know Aiden didn't perjure himself on the stand. Karen didn't perjure herself. But Carrie Roberts did. And Jen McCabe lied to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But that's funny enough, never the part that the foreskin brings up when they cry. When doves cry. Yes. Green Eyes, I didn't want to yell at you, but you are a retard. And I mean it in the way the word retard is meant. Someone who has a very low IQ. For all of you who's going to clench your pearls now and say, oh, you can't say the word retard. You can say retard about stupid people. Karen wasn't the only one who knew where John was. They were driving, and she saw him. You know what this is? You can call me Four Eyes because I have an extra enhancer for my eyes. It's called eyes. Normal people who are not fucking idiots use those to look out of. And you're driving down the road and you see a big black lump laying in the snow at the house where you saw him walk in the day before. And you say, what's that? Jumps out of the car and finds out it's John O'Keefe. That's not, oh, she knew where he was. Why didn't she then drive down there? Or why? Listen to this, because you're so smart. All you antis are so fucking smart. Why did Karen Reed want them to go over there? Why did she get out of the car and find John O'Keefe? Because if she wanted to hide that, I hit him, another lie told by your good friend Jen McCabe, if she wanted to hide it, she would just have done this. On the couch, she wouldn't have ran around in the snowstorm. Who wasn't willing to go out and look for him? Who didn't call the McAlberts, who are police officers, and said, hey, have you seen John? The people who know the McAlberts. Who was the only one who gave enough shit about John O'Keefe that they went out looking for them? Why did Jen McCabe say, let's go back to the house again? Maybe he's come home. Did she need 5 more minutes? I don't know why dumb people can figure out how to log onto the internet, but they can't form a normal thought in their head. I understand why people love Tuesday, because you feel smart when she sits there and gets her blank stare in her eyes and tries to have a thought. You people, and I'm sorry, I know you're not allowed to say retard. You're fucking retarded. You're fucking retarded. You're looking at all of this evidence, and the only thing you say is, well, Krusty said that she did it. You're fucking retarded. Get the fuck out of here. Go play with your feces. It'll have a higher IQ than you have. Go watch the foreskins and hear that gaggle of old ladies laugh, because they don't know shit either. They have never, ever looked at any evidence. Drama Llama got them together so they could sit there and be nasty hacks. You are all abso-fucking-lutely retarded. Either you're retarded or you are plain evil. Because no one who has looked at the evidence presented in trial, John O'Keefe is not a buffalo. None of us can still believe anything the Commonwealth came up with. So please go play with the short bus people. Let me make fun of your short bus people who writes emails about, hey, can we look into jury tampering? Because remember the great Hank Brennan, who was so great. He was apparently an idiot who let a lot of plans get on the jury. When people complained about plans on the first jury, I said, it's almost impossible to get a plan on a jury, because that was free can read people. I will hold my side accountable. I will say that's not possible. It's almost impossible to get a plan on the jury. But now your side, who couldn't suck Hank Brennan's dick enough because he was such an amazing lawyer, you're sitting there crying and say he was such an idiot he let plans on the jury. Sorry.
Shred.
So remember too, is Dr. Welcher did the height test, and the height of the boiler on the back of the SUV was right where that wound was too. So
Which is something a lot of people on Twitter, including myself, mocked up like early.
I understand why you have 420 in your description. You smoke your brain away. Who wants the honors? Maybe it should be Valhalla today. Go away now. Ciao, baby. Redacted cited test chart as a witness she trusted the most. Problem: test chart was in trial 1 and not trial 2. And then we have Jess Machado. And again, we can't see what, if anything, that it really is about. Hair from Reed's SUV was consistent with O'Keefe's forensic data analyst testifies. This is part 13. Annie Elise discusses true crime, cult following, pro-defense. Annie Elise. Don't know, haven't watched her. 1.49 million subscribers. And Annie Elise also attended the trial behind Karen Reed for trial 2 and now propagate false information to her 1.49 million followers. In my point of view, if the jury had access to any of this, aka social media as a whole, which I assume they did considering their talking points and nothing based on evidence, again, there was not a chance. This is wrong. This is not justice. Concerned citizen. Thank you. Justice is my bias for becoming a member. Ember. Yes, in Canton, those boilers are at head height. Clips of her narrative, and please see the large amount of views. Higgins' late night trip. Karen Reed trial recap week 4. Higgins' late night trip. Cringe text and public. 106,000 views. But you just said 1.4 million. So that's not true. Facts, shady secrets, and cover-ups. Karen Reed update. Everything you need to know before her new trial. 300,000 views. Pretty good numbers. John's phone may have been inside. Karen Reed trial recap week 2. Jen McCabe lied to FBI. Expert admits phone may have had 215,000 views. I wish I'd had those numbers. The butt dial trial. Exactly. Karen Reed trial recap week 3. Solo cup butt dials and witnesses cut ties with the 127,000 views. Good for you, Anna Elise. And I wish you a million more. Again, what I know it might be hard for people who don't have a YouTube channel to understand, but we do need to put a little singer in it to draw you in when everyone is covering the same stuff. And some people have, I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of the surprise faces that she has in her. I never use that. I know Mo uses them as well, but maybe it's just because I would look kind of like I do whenever Zach sends me pictures. I like Annie, but never watched any of Karen Reed coverage. No one, and that's the thing, because you could remember how many was angry at Lawyer, because he was kind of fence sitting on it, which means he was looking at the evidence and reacted to it as presented. All kind of law tubers have different opinions on this trial. All kind of true crimers have different opinions about this trial. We go where the evidence leads us. Someone reached out to me and say, why do you think the Rentala case is another big problem in Massachusetts? And I said, I think you should watch it and see if you feel like I do. Because we all have our little things that we pick up on. Don't I have any mods here? Do I have to do all my work myself? Fuck off. This is why I shouldn't have any mods at all, because Valhalla, that lazy little, he's out playing with his pigeons. I just said, get rid of this person. I'm going to take your wrench and give it, Val, I'm going to take your wrench and give it to Zach. And you don't block people I ask you to. No, because I would have you crying 5 seconds later. So. Higgins lied. He testified under oath that he went home and drank more whiskey and said he went to the police department and room to round the office in the parking lot in the car. Text to speak is really hard to understand, but yes, Higgins, there's an hour missing in Higgins' testimony, and his reason why he went to the police station doesn't make any sense. Zach is going straight pipe. He's not getting he has been a mod on this channel before, but mistakes were made. Why do I disparage my friend Valhalla? You use this word friend liberally. I asked you the other day to mod me so I could make the big bucks and quit my job so I could actually watch your streams. Well, I will pay you the same amount I pay Valhalla, and you don't have to be a mod for it. Deal? Dragonfly. I'm shocked the defense was so conniving that tricked us all regardless of all subjects they weren't allowed to mention, the sustained prosecution objections, the overruled defense objections. Yeah, isn't it amazing that even though they were fighting against the Commonwealth, the judge, they still bamboozled everyone. Almost like either Daly is a shitty lawyer, Hank is a shitty lawyer, or they just didn't have the evidence. Yeah, but it's really, I could do that, and you don't have to be an old FBI agent to understand that this was a really shitty investigation. But it's surprising to me that he wasn't allowed to testify about it. Part 12. Then we need to talk about YouTube court culture that is happening online. There are lawyers. Obviously, they are not very good if they had to be online for YouTube to get money. That have agendas to make money by being on the popular side of justice. Well, then they should have been on the other side, because I have been called a PDF file. I have been told I am a misogynist. I have been told that I send unsolicited teen pics to women. I have been told that I suck Aiden's dick. And again, he told me he loved me. He paid me $20, so I don't see that as a problem. I have been told that I should jump off the planet a lot of times. The easy way to have made money in this case was maybe to make AI write a shitty book about it. Maybe be one of the 5 people who believe that Karen did it. Because you would have an entire free audience that you could have cultivated. The big problem is the free can read people were working together. The problem is all these other idiots are too dumb to try and make something. And I'm not talking about Aiden and Karen colluding with us. No, I called up Melanie Little, Freifeld, Federer, Andrea Burkhardt, and said, let's do a panel show. And that's why my channel blew up, is because, hey, let's work together. I have built out an enormous network of friendly people because we worked together, because we believed this case was really important. We didn't jump on the popular side. We didn't go into it. I watched the arm scratch picture from the first hearing, and since then, I have not seen one piece of evidence that could convince me that I should be sitting with the foreskins and think that Karen killed John O'Keefe. We are not on the popular side. We have had more shit thrown at us than anyone else. The easy money would have been on the other side. Why do you think Plevin went over there? Because Plevin believed that Karen Reed was innocent until he saw, I'm not going to beat Aiden in popularity. But I can go to the other side, and I will be the only one. I only have to fight with crusty panties and twisted tragedies. And that's kind of like Usain Bolt running in the Special Olympics. He's probably going to win. And by the way, the popular side. Clevin was a weekly guest on Court TV. Not knocking on Lawrence, he has also been on there. But he got to sit on Court TV. He got to show his shitty 3D rendering that totally showed how John O'Keefe died. This man threw an opportunity away. He got national exposure. And then he wrote a book so bad that an idiot baker who doesn't speak English as his first language made him run away. I bet if I had no morals, I would have made probably 10 times the amount of money I made on the Karen Read case by sitting and selling bullshit to the other side. That's the easy route, the popular side. There was an email about where Chloe was buried. It was in the fire dump dated in May 2025. Look at the name Tim Alberts. In this file, that these 3,494 pages, I can do a search. Tim Alberts. I haven't seen it, let's be honest. I haven't read each and every page. I just read where everyone was dum-dums. It's searching. Here are links to many lawyers that spewed nonstop propaganda, hating Hank, the Commonwealth, lifting up Karen, purposefully not talking about the evidence. We actually looked at the evidence, you fucking idiots. Lawyer, you know, pro-defense. No. Talking about taking the popular side of justice. Lawyer, you know, was very, very late to 100% say Karen Read is innocent because he wanted to see all of the evidence, which you should, in every case, look at the evidence. Don't go into it with blinders on. Calling him pro-Karen makes no sense. No sense at all. I'm sorry to say. Don't have any hits on Tim Albert in the document. Carl Steinbeck, isn't it Steinbeck? Pro-defense went on every night and shit-talked Hank. Commonwealth did not stand a chance if any of the juries went online. There are no Tim Alberts mentioned in the 3,494 pages. Do you know what the First Amendment in America is? You are allowed to shit talk Hank. Hank was a really, really bad lawyer. Well, I don't know if he's a bad lawyer. He was a really bad prosecutor in this trial. His opening statements was probably about the worst I've ever seen, and his closing arguments was so lackluster, and he changed his story 3 times because he didn't know the basis of his own trial. Hank Brennan should be able to, if I slap him on the side of the head, said, when did John die? He should be able to give me John's death. When's the last time his phone moved? What was the temperature? How much snow, if any, was at the scene that night? Stuff like that. He didn't know basic facts of the case because he saw a $650,000 paycheck and probably thought, hey, at least it's not Whitey Bulger. Steinbeck calls a spade a spade. Yes, he does. And I liked his recaps. It's the same. Why don't you bring up Alexa's room? She does the same. She does recaps of the show. Why don't you bring up, I think I did recap the entire first trial. Why don't you bring up, because we're allowed to do it. We are allowed to have a personal opinion about how bad Hank Brennan is. You stop talking at all. I will let Zach mute you. Send you a screenshot in a DM on Discord. Yes, yes. Well, this is what's called at least double hearsay. So let's just say that has no evidentiary value at all until she testifies under oath. On my channel, I try to read the documents. I will talk about what happened in courtrooms. This is a rumor about a rumor. I'm not gonna entertain that a lot more. I could talk about several more, but you get the idea because they are lawyers. People give their opinions. The general public sees it have more weight. And other way, this false conspiracy went like wildfire. No. Do you know what Honey Bun, Peaches, whatever your name is, Porshia Peach? Do you know who was the biggest reason people joined the Free Can Read movement? It was a history teacher. A history teacher has convinced more people that Karen Reed is innocent than Carl Steinbeck, lawyer you know, Emily D. Baker, any of these people. The history teacher did this. You know why? Because he could point to all the holes in the cheese and say, isn't that weird? It's not because a lawyer you know is a lawyer. Because if that's true, then everything Wendy Murphy said should have equal weight. Because you forget, Wendy Murphy was on television every night talking about this. People didn't believe her, even though she's a lawyer. You know what works really well on the YouTubes? That you can point and say, doesn't this look weird? Like me reading your very poorly written emails and say, you don't really have many legs to stand on other than you're just mad that they didn't vote the way you thought. And maybe a little bit of gift of the gab. It's not because you need to be a lawyer. You can just point at all the bad evidence. But hey, it's of course because they are lawyers. But you had lawyers on your side as well. Why didn't they just convince people that they were wrong? Pro-Commonwealth and actual justice. Roberta Glass, just 22,000 followers. Guess what? Who lost her channel because of the foreskins? Roberta Glass. Guess who really stood up for justice and made YouTube aware that this was a mistake? I did. Because when it's about justice, it doesn't matter if we like the person or not. Maybe a few Free Can readers should remember that and put their personal beef and stuff it in the ass. About 1,000 views per stream. Very low streaming. She's been studying innocent fraud campaigns for a decade, as there is a formula to them. Okay? What does that have to do with anything? She's not a good YouTuber. She couldn't have more than 1,000 views per stream compared to lawyer you know who has like 40,000 followers live. Oh, I forgot to read this. People pay him money in super chats to say their opinion. Yeah. What's wrong in that? The only lawyer I listen to is Twisted Twatches. I don't even get paid to read Joy's text. Just because you're a lawyer doesn't mean you're smart. I know a lot of dumb lawyers, and we all know Naniel. Hey, that's underscores Esquire's position. You didn't have to pay me to say it. have super chats that I don't read because sometimes Brandon and Zach gets a little too wild. So what? It's people's position. Because Mellow Stiletto says it was a chicken gun. What does that mean? I don't know, but I'll pull it up anyway. We are allowed to do this. It's not my opinion it was a chicken gun. That's Mellow Stiletto. All the comments were free can read and was insane. Went on every night and shit talk Hank. Yeah, I read that part. Oh. But poor Roberta Glass, only 22,000 followers. I have a bigger channel then. Please get me to 24,000 or I will have to sleep in a tent in Dollywood. Matt Timpanic. I don't know who that is. 1,000 followers. Very slow streaming. What does that mean? Is his stream slow? Is he slow? Is it like watching Tuesday? One of the only lawyers on YouTube who is actually honest because he's a working lawyer and YouTube is not where he makes money. You know what, Honeyman? Brother Counsel, Ian Runkle, lawyer you know, DUI guy, are all working lawyers. Andrea Burkhardt are all working lawyers. I think Melanie Little and Emily D. Baker are the only ones who are. I don't know if Melanie have an active license. I'm not 100% sure. But Emily D. Baker doesn't work as a lawyer anymore. She's a full-time YouTuber. You know how little money most of us really make. You could probably get a personal injury suit and you would be set for 5 years of YouTube streaming. I can sleep in the bathtub in your room. I'm not allowed to be around women here. Federer doesn't have a YouTube channel, so I didn't want to include him. Melanie has retired. Yeah, but I didn't know if she had an active license still. She's still licensed, but she doesn't work. Yeah. Is that big case Mike or whatever the fuck his name is who hates Karen? I don't know who Matt Tepemnik is. I've never seen him. I don't know who it is. Yeah, normally they'll keep their license active, but hey, if you can live off of YouTube and you don't have to go and work 70 hours a week, power to you. Power to you. Well, I'm not allowed to be within 50 feet of any women. I will stay and I will keep my chastity belt on. Yeah, and again, if Melanie was set and could retire and she then thought, I really like to do this YouTube thingy. Good for her. Absolutely freaking lootly great for her. She came in, she blew up, and she has kept her audience because she's a great streamer. I don't know who Matt Timpanic is. I think even if he was on the other side, I would have heard his name if he was a good streamer. Because there's a lot of people who were free Karen Reed who we don't really talk about anymore because you need also to be kind of okay in putting out content. Not just yell about all the money you make and how great you are with your 30 people watching you. The Panic was pretty active on Twitch. He wasn't particularly impressive in his analysis. Jealous of her yacht, bro. No. That's one thing that you should never, if you go on the YouTubes, if any of you want to be a YouTuber, let me tell you one thing. Never be jealous of anyone else's success. Never. Never count subscribers, never count dollars, never count views. Because the second you start looking at anyone else and think, why don't I have what they have? You will lose the passion that you have for what you're doing. I will never be a Melanie Little. I wish I was as great as she was. I'll never be a Turtle Boy. But I will be a Broken Baker. Because that's who I am. And that's who I have always been. And that's what I like doing. And that's why you come in here for some takes, you go to Aiden for other takes, you'll go to Yo-Yo for different takes. And do you know what's the beauty about it? I'm lucky enough that I get to work with these people. I'm nothing. I am a weird Danish guy who makes sexual innuendos and barely speak English. But I'm so lucky because of you wonderful people. They know my name. And I get to be on streams with people like Andrea Burkhardt. I was just invited to Just to Serve TV. I'm going to be on Aiden's fundraiser. And I get to hang out with Melanie on fundraisers. I get to be invited on Lauren's channel to build Lego. And you know, I'm happy because the money you give me, I can fly to Tennessee and meet you. The first second you sit and talk about all the money you made and all the bread you are winning and how great you are, you will lose your passion. The second you start looking at numbers and say, why does she get so many and I get so few? You will lose your passion. Then you shouldn't be doing this. Do something else. I'm not jealous of anything any of these people have because I know how hard they have worked. I know how impressive it is that people can live off of YouTube. So I'm never jealous. I am impressed, and that's how you should be. You should be chasing, you should try to be as good, but the second you become jealous and talk about how you're a big money Mike and how much money you have made, you hate your job. And YouTube, for me, it has to be fun or I'll just don't stream. So no, I'm not jealous. I'm impressed. Because that wave that took her up with her yacht, I'm sitting far behind in a little dinghy, but I am on the same wave. And I'm lucky enough that she knows my name. So I'm very, very lucky that people that I admire knows my name. Never jealous. Because jealousy will get you on a fundraiser with a guy saying, yo, Mr. Reed, you brought on a gold chain. And that's not where I want to be. I want to be there where Melanie reaches out to me and says, do you have a Zoom link? And I say, yes, I get to help you today. That's what I want to be. Never jealous. Never, ever jealous. I have an amazing channel. And I am only impressed with the work they have put in because I know how many hours you do this to be that great. Part 11. His Aiden Courtney plan worked. Look at all these potential jurors. We are getting to your potential jury pool. You told us to stop, but we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. Video attached below. I don't think all understand what's been happening on social media. Unless you have someone monitoring online and sending you daily reports. I implore anyone on a case now that we've seen how effective the innocent fraud campaign was to have lawyers know what's bubbling up online by getting someone to monitor social media. Phones are no longer for looking at videos of friends and family. No, phones are for calling someone. The jurors have in their hands every night a tool to go on any quick site and have manipulated media that does not have to fact check anything like the legacy media days. So like going on Court TV and hear Julie Grant, say Karen Read is guilty, guilty, guilty. Again, my thesis, Hank could have showed Karen Read on camera in the act. The jury would have said, maybe it's AI. The jury pool was tainted. I accept the verdict until I heard interviews of the jurors who obviously spewed out free Karen Read talking points. Or maybe free Karen Read talking points are based in facts. Concerned citizen. And again, where is that video of Karen Read caught in the act? Remember, the legacy media that you just talked about told us there was a Ring video. One in chat if you have seen the Ring camera. Innocent Fraud is, I think is it the Innocent Project that they claim lied, cheated, and still stole to get people free? Oh, we have Porshia Pelican in here now. Is that another SAC account? Part 10. Interview with Sue NBC 10 Boston. Oh my God. This idiot. This was not their job to worry about spending. Their job was to look at the evidence. They did not look at the evidence and came in with their mind made up, in my opinion. So that's not facts. It's just your opinion. I know there's no retrial. I know because of this, nothing will change the outcome of the jury's decision. That is done and dusted. So why the fuck have I been reading 40 pages of your idiocracy? But the people who let the fraud in the justice system and lied to falsely accuse innocent people must be held accountable. Amen, sister. Let's get people held accountable. Terry Roberts, Jen McCabe, Brian Albert, who all either lied in court or changed their statements or looked at the timesheet and then they made their statements fit another way. Are we gonna? Is this these the people you're talking about? Is it maybe D.A. Morrissey who made that hostage video and claimed all of my witnesses are innocent, which could taint the jury pool? No, you didn't mean those, did you? And if there were lies to get on the jury that to also nullify the verdict should also be held accountable. Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. Every time we got on the bus, especially in the beginning, we all think, how much money is the city, the state putting on the police following us, the bus and everything? Paula said, yeah, it bothers me a lot. This has nothing to do with the verdict. Part 9. It's injustice, it's police corruption. Look for the root of the problem. Look for the real journalist. This is something Lily in London put on the Twit. Part 8, we are being duped. Last night, someone came out on Court TV, her 15th interview in 48 hours. So it's Paula again. During trial, we heard about the blogger, and during deliberation, some jurors said Turtle Boy was in the courtroom. Grant Smith Ellis could not find the link online, but found it in a Twitter feed. Then it's online, you fucking idiot. This is the modern day equivalent of mobsters going to someone's house to threaten them if they take a stance against the mob boss. This is not right. This is not just. Something must be done. How is this equivalent of going to someone's house and threaten them? It's Turtle Boy. Every other day I read Turtle Boy is 5'2" and have man tits. The next day I hear he's the most intimidating man on the planet. Can you make up your mind, all you crazies? Tony am 76. Thank you for becoming a new member, Emperor. Yeah, she's still going. I don't know who this lady is, but she has a lot to say. Heartbreaking interview with John O'Keefe's friend John Jackson on Court TV just came out. Imagine being Morrissey and receiving this shit every single day. Why hasn't he blocked her? Also echoing my notes on the jury and how this has all turned into a circus. His segment came on after Redacted was on the air. And he was actually speechless at the conspiracy theory and talking points he made. And also mentioned it came from YouTubers. Mentions Hank Lally and the Great Case. Well, he can't mention Hank Lally and the Great Case in the same sentence. Oh. Mama Lama, the official spokesperson of the McAlbert clan. Well, unofficial. John Jackson repeats the same three things endlessly. I have tried to watch him and tried to say, okay, because, hey, he lost his friend. But at the same time, he seems very in line with these people. But yeah, so she hopes that everyone is watching John Jackson. Something is seriously wrong. Something must be done. Concerned citizen who seems to not be alone. Part 6. New jury foreman spoke out. Commenters on it closely connected to Turtle Boy and his theories. This is from Dave Palix. He knew that Brian Albert received a special privilege. It is what we have been saying since Turtle Boy picked up the story. If a dead cop was found on my yard or your yard or a black man's yard, the Canton MA police would have kicked in the fucking door. Every Canton cop is just as culpable in John O'Keefe's death as Brian Albert and Brian Higgins. That means you too, Chief Rafferty. Just like you all failed Sandra Birdsmore to protect a PDF cop from the jury foreman, waste the taxpayers' money on paper-thin evidence. How did they know how much money was being wasted? That's not their job as jury. The talking points are directly from Free Can Read, and not one mention in all 4 jurors I've watched have mentioned any data or actual evidence. They have all brought in so much bias. This is not normal. I've also never seen 4 jurors have interviews within 48 hours. Turtle Boy gives validation to the jury foreman. Link. That's Turtle Boy's status. The foreman has spoken. He knows goddamn well that if a dead cop ends up on his lawn, the cops are going inside. This jury is infinitely smarter than the last one. Gee, Turtle Boy, I wonder why this jury is smarter than the last one. This is not justice. Something is very off. Innocent witnesses are still being called murderers. This cycle has been on repeat for 3 years. The Commonwealth never stood a chance with this online circus. Concerned citizen. Do you know why people are talking about money and how much money it costs? We actually do that a lot in when I go to court. If we have one of those cases where, why the hell didn't you just plead guilty? We say just to get us started, it's $10,000. That's probably what it's going to cost just to get into the courtroom and have a trial. That's $10,000. We don't run the numbers. We don't know what everyone is getting paid, but that's kind of the standard we go by. It's $10,000 to start a day in trial. And if we see a case from the state that's really thin or from the defense that's really thin, we might sit in there and say, why the hell are we here? Why are we wasting our time? Why am I sitting and listening to 6 different witnesses when they clearly could just have pled guilty, or the state could clearly not have raised this case? Yeah. But do you know what we do when we're done talking about all the money that it costs? We then get the charging sheet and we say, did they prove beyond a reasonable doubt what is alleged in the charging sheet? Even though we know it was a stupid waste of money. No 4 jurors have ever done interviews within 48 hours, unless it's the 4 Murdoch jurors who NBC flew to New York City within days, accompanied by the clerk of the effing court. Wasn't it on the day of the verdict? Gesundheit. Now I know why Mercy used to burn her email account. His spam filter couldn't keep up with the concerned citizens. Exactly. When a company gets paid $500,000 for a Blue Man demonstration, it makes a difference. Especially if the evidence is as poor as that, you will make a joke and say, "Oh my God, you can get 50,000 for that." No, 500. Oh, I'm in the wrong business. Well, if you are around and you have the ability, please do it. Anime, if you are over on Rumble, can you remove that hyperlink that someone is putting in there? Part 5, 1 hour ago, Aiden Carney. Hey, Matt Gottman, ABC. Why are you pretending like you don't know my name and painting me as some sort of witness intimidator? Why did you want me to keep it a secret that you, me, Karen Reed, and her defense team had dinner at a steakhouse in Boston on July 23, the day after the rolling rally? I told you all about the rolling rally and you thought it was awesome. You made it pretty clear that you knew Karen was innocent and you knew the McAlbers were guilty. We even exchanged numbers and met 2 days later at Karen's hearing. Were you just pretending to get an interview with her? The conspiracy is out in the open. This is not justice. This has nothing to do with a conspiracy. You are allowed to talk to the press. That's the thing that most of these people don't understand. You are allowed as a defendant to talk to the press. It can bite you in the ass, like Karen Reed, when they clip it up and play it in court. Luckily, they didn't fall for it. There's nothing nefarious in talking to the press. Part 4, TMC. When asked how were the crowds outside, honestly, that made the pressure a lot harder and it did not give me comfort. It made it a lot harder to block out everything and come to a decision. Why did it make it hard? Ladies? It made it harder because all of the eyes were on us. They kept us away from them on the front of the courthouse, but we do see them. The intimidation campaign came from everywhere, from the outside and from the inside, with Turtle Boy, who is accused of witness intimidation, allowed on the inside of the court. So this jury did not stand a chance. Justice was not served. It was not a jury of peers. Turtle Boy boasting about smiles he received from jurors while in the courthouse. When the jury walked in to give their verdict today, both looked at me and were smiling. It was at that moment that I knew that we were about to get really good news. Being in that courtroom for that moment was the most surreal thing I've ever been part of. He didn't say, as agreed, they convinced the jury as we had planned. No, this is from they cut out a TMC interview with one of the witnesses talking about the crowd outside. But again, there was a First Amendment zone. So what? What's the problem in that? I don't get. How about in the Kelsey Fitzsimmons trial when 20 cops sat in the courtroom? Was that an intimidation tactics to get the judge to rule the right way? Oh, I guess not. Well, what about that guy who shouldered Karen Reed? What about Paul displaying his balls in court? What about Brian Albert? Was that intimidating to anyone? Why was Paul moved to the back end of the gallery? Oh yeah, because he was intimidating. You forgot that part, but hey. Hey, East Coast Thrifter, how are you doing? Jury getting pressure outside the courthouse, inside the courthouse, and when they got home, this is not justice. Where is any evidence that anyone got pressure when they got home? You can't highlight here. There's no evidence that anyone. Where the hell did I go? There's no evidence anyone got pressured when they came home. Now I lost the place. Oh, yeah, there it was. Part 3. Looks like I'm not the only one who thinks this. Angry caller. Anyone remember that idiot on Twitter? I can't figure out whose burner that was. The fucking juror who's a true crime fan on Twitter went on the news last night and basically said, I'm free, Karen Reed. Didn't you look at my Twitter profile, you morons? What a job Turtle Boy did getting the free Karen Reed message to the jury pool. The Commonwealth had no chance. So Hank did a shitty job. Another citizen that set up a protest. Justice for John O'Keefe protest demanding Judge Bev and DA investigate jurors for misconduct and possible jury tampering by certain media, and they be investigating also John O'Keefe did not get a fair trial. That's from Turtle Boy Expose, who's also a burner account for one of these idiots. I think it was Kim Fair. I don't know if who was behind these. But of course, you bring up 2 burner accounts who hates Aiden. Isn't that wonderful? Oh. On her profile, true crime lover with a soft spot for justice, Juris is now following Free Karen Reed and Turtle Boy on Twitter, and all of the regular suspects that brought forward the Innocent campaign to infect the jury pool. To this day, Turtle Boy claiming wild conspiracy theories, having the jury pool in the palm of his hand. I know this email likely won't matter. Nope. I've never seen anything like this in my life. The Commonwealth presented a perfect case for the fraud and intimidation led to the courtroom. It's so obvious. If anything, I hope Hank Brennan can take solace in the fact that it was not the Commonwealth's case that failed, but the clown show that surrounded it. I pray for what justice can still remain with the witness intimidation case, conspiracy charges, etc. Concerned citizen. We definitely did not want to hang this jury. We were very positive that we were going to discuss everything. The amount of money spent on this trial made me very upset, and I'm sure my fellow jurors upset too. That's a Julie Carr again. Notice how much she's mentioned. Hello. That's the one where we saw that in the beginning. Blatant disregard of the evidence and coming in, we have already seen this one. And again, Julie Carr. I never sent an email like this in my life, but something is very wrong. And that was Porshia Pete's Porshia, what's her name? Porshia Pelican. Porshia Pelican, who wanted to be an online sleuth to prove that Aiden, Devilkind, Turtle Boy, had the jury in the palm of his hand and ruined everything. Hank Brennan was a mastermind. Hank Brennan ran a perfect trial. I'm going to put a poll up. No, I'm just going to ask. After reading that and seeing that the most quoted Twitter handle is Big Red, do you believe Porshia Pelican could know Big Red very close? Maybe because of the long neck, I just get the idea that Porshia Pelican might even live in the same house as Big Red and look kind of like Big Red, just without all the filters. When I read it, I thought, they Pure uses Big Red's twit account a lot as evidence. I'm just, I don't know. Are there any emails from Free Karen Reed supporters? Not that I have seen. No one has said all of these idiots are trying to influence. Did you see the Camel Toe Club outside of court? No one is mentioned. One of them has mentioned, and I can't remember where it is. One of them says, why can't you keep Turtle Boy out of court? So they were working very hard. And I know all of my good friends, colleagues, and co-workers will probably be covering more and more of all of this, because seeing how stupid these people acted and how unaware of any evidence and how little regard they have for justice and the jury system is just showing everyone that these people, they don't give a shit about justice. The only thing they give a shit about is their narrative. All the things that they are accusing us of being blind, going by Turtle Boy's narrative, that we are doing it because we're getting paid, just falls back on themselves, because this is what they do. Portia's spelling is beyond atrocious, so I'm pretty sure some of those typos are to hide who they are. When I, as a dyslexic, can tell that it doesn't, normally they're either really dyslexic or they are trying to hide it. It's kind of like, have you all seen the Bukkake red letter that he opened with gloves on? It looks like a 2-year-old. It looks like someone writing with her, with his or her left hand, to try and imply some threats against Bukkake. It's yeah. It's 3406 of Tully's emails. Is this? Let me just take this one down. This one over. We can read it. Oh, that looks interesting. I hadn't seen that one. From Guardian at getrave.com. To Commonwealth Fusion Center. Urgent new Guardian chat eyewitness. A new chat has been submitted in the category eyewitnesses. A girl I recently spent time with, Delaney Milton, who I picked up at 147, I'm not going to read that, told me that the dog involved in the Karen Reed case was dead and buried in her yard. She also said, well, this is, again, this has nothing to do with anything. This is double hearsay. So I can read it, but there's no evidence of it. She also said her house had been burned down and she recently moved back in. She claimed her uncle was the main Canton police officer involved in the case. I have dash cam recordings, but it appears to have been overwritten. Again, I would be willing to turn the CD card anonymously if forensic investigators think it's worth looking at. You can contact me at crimetip@gmail.com. I would not read anything into this, because why haven't Crime Tip 9 gone to Aiden with that? Again, it's it sounds cool and all of that, but there's not anything other than at least double hearsay in that article. So yeah. Well, the problem is I don't do gossip. I try to keep to what's written. So someone else had posted that before, that someone had put it on Facebook or whatever it was. I don't put any credence to any of that. That sounds more like someone who wants to tell a story. Her house burned down and they know where the dog is buried. Why didn't you call Dave Yannetti? No, I told it in an Uber ride. Okay? Sure. Sure, Toots. Remember a woman who kept Boston Post or whatever newspaper came forward and said, hey, I am actually a specialist in this, and I can tell you this is a dog bite. And we are to believe that someone was telling everyone about this conspiracy to burn her house down and where the dog was, but they never ever picked up the phone and either called Dave Yannetti if it could help the defense, or call David Lally if it could Alan Lally. I can't remember Lally's first name. Told them if it could help the state. I would put that in category of Cora lives in Vermont and is now a 5-pound Pomeranian. This is the stupidity that is the Karen Reed trial. It'll keep on giving for some time, because now we are going to get into all of the defamation lawsuits, and we're going to get the anti-slap motions, and we're going to get all of that, and it's going to be interesting. We're going to have some laughs, and hopefully we're going to help Aiden a little bit with raising a few bucks for his defense fund, because these people won't stop. They have no life. I didn't look at the foreskins from last night. It's probably a shit show if I'm guessing. So I don't think Karen Reed is going to go away right now. I will say, because I have seen the hate coming towards Aiden from the person who was supposed to be hosting Karen Reed's podcast the last couple of days. I've seen his wife has been very active attacking Aiden as well. If you are in to the knees in a river of shit, it's probably not a good idea to kneel down. And I know the band was broken up and mean words were said, and yes, something was recorded, and someone had too much trust in his girlfriend. Never trust a woman. Oh, man. But at this point, I think the Foreskins said yesterday that the Justice fundraiser has $200,000 raised. How much is Karen Reed raising? She had her two fundraisers with, let's be honest, a shit show. Because she chose DJ and Money Mike to be the channels, and Brian LTL to be the channels to host her fundraisers. They had Crazy Lana on, they had James Jackson on, they had Jay Brill on. You do you, boo. But I don't think it's working, Karen. I have heard your voice messages. Hearing the word cunt didn't hurt you that much. Maybe get some better people in your ears and don't have people who everyone perceives are representing you, even though he's like, I don't represent anyone. Don't have them attack the guy who made sure that your case was put on the planet to begin with. Don't antagonize the Free Karen Reed movement by having these people who claims that they are close to you tell everyone that Karen Reed hate us. Don't have lawyers go on shows and talk about a platform that gets 20, 40,000 people watching, that you hate her. Even if you don't like Melanie Little. You know what? Probably don't tell an angry lawyer out of New Jersey that, so she will go and say it all online. I can't tell you anything. I don't know anything. I'm an idiot. You have some very great lawyers in your crew. Alan Jackson is kind of known for high profile cases, but remember that $1 million that you had, that you used for your cases. They came from salt of the earth people. People who don't have money. People who saw a woman who was innocently charged. That money went away when you started antagonizing them by being represented in spirit by people who would constantly go online and disparage everyone else because they wanted to be the real free Karen Reed. I'm not telling you to go on Aiden's show. And I know you will never ever see me because I don't have any reads coming into my show. But maybe, just maybe, you need to be a little more active. And I don't tell the hairdresser that podcast ain't going to happen and he can do his own show if he wants to. Pay him the $5,000 he spent on equipment and say, well, that was a mistake. That's fine. But if you want to have the backing that you had, at some point, you have to get off the high horse and get back in and try and get some people to want to fight for you again, because we are all out here saying, we believe the Commonwealth is a shit show. We believe the House defendants are not that good. We believe the lawsuits against you are bullshit. But we also kind of feel like, who is this person we are fighting for now? Why is it why should I recommend people go and support your defense fund? I will tell people every day. Oh, normally I have this on when I'm doing streams about this. This is to the Turtle Boy Defense Fund if anyone wants to contribute. Because Aiden hasn't wavered. Aiden has been out there. Aiden didn't just stop with Karen Reed. I know, well, Aiden only does Karen Reed. No, he stood by Kelsey Fitzsimmons, another victim of Massachusetts. He's raising a stink about Sandra Birdsmore. What did Kelsey Fitzsimmons do when she stood outside of court? She said, now I am going to try and fight to make some changes. What did Karen Reed do? She said, thank you all. And she rode off into the night. I don't know why. Of course, they will tell you because you were ill-advised going on. I was the biggest critic of your lawyers who allowed you to go on Nightline, Dateline, whatever those shows were. But as you saw with Kelsey Fitzsimmons on Aiden's podcast, which was a great interview. If you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. Aiden is a good interviewer. A lot of people are like, oh, why didn't he? He did what he had to do. He respected the boundaries because there are civil suits coming up. Radel was there to control it. You don't have to go on Aiden's show. You can go on Melanie's show. You can go on whoever else wants you on. And you can bring Alan Jackson or another lawyer to make sure. And you know what? I'll tell you something. You might not know this about YouTubers, but you can talk to us first. I know a lot of people, when they do a show, they'll just show up, start, and then they'll go away and they don't talk. You can say, okay, we're going to do this show. I have some talking points that I can touch and some I can't touch. But I need to get out there and restart the fire. And then you can have an agreement that you're not going to ask about this. You're not going to ask about the size of John's manhood or what's your favorite position. But you need to get some positive PR. You have no positive PR right now because you chose the wrong crew. To this day, I still don't believe it was Karen Reed who was hanging out in the Hood Booker chat. I think this is just a conspiracy, maybe because I think too highly of people.
He looks like he can't control his honey bun habit, and his Susie cues.
But I don't think that's what Karen Reed spends her nights on watching. I don't think the decorated dude from Boston, I'm not 100% sure that that story holds up either. Maybe it's someone who wanted to plant that story so someone could get a lot of attention and be the cool kids. But Karen, you need to get out there and try getting some positive energy around you again. Because right now, the people who claim you and who is promoting you is no one. The people who went on your fundraiser that you gave your dad to use as a promotional tool. One of them is claiming that your story about John going to the house is a lie. Really good wedding there of that person. Mr. Honeybuns has changed his stance more times than I've changed my underwear. So maybe get away from the hairdressers, get away from all the people who will stroke you on your back and tell you you're great, and try and get with the modern day. Because it doesn't matter that you get a show on Netflix. It doesn't matter, well, monetary wise, maybe. Doesn't matter that you can get in the Boston Globe. That $1 million you raised was from nefarious shenanigans. It was from None of Your Business. It was from East Coast Thrifter. It was from Betty Swallows. And why did they do it? Because idiots with a webcam and a microphone sat day in and day out and covered your trial on YouTube and screamed bloody murder. Maybe, just maybe, consider that instead of burning every bridge that you can. Because Hood Booker Radio, Big Money Mike, Pocket Square Brian, and Lana, the pro se, is not going to raise you $1 million. You don't have to love Aiden. You don't have to kiss my ass. You don't have to go on Melody Littles and tell her, I like the Grateful Dead as well. But you need to turn the tide. Because right now, you're the Ice Queen. Rightfully or not, I have no opinion. I just know whoever runs your PR needs to get fired. Your boots on the ground wasn't because of legacy media. Maybe you can get a book deal. Your case is cold. People have moved on. The next big thing is going to be Courtney Clenny whenever that hits court because, hey, I get to show a lot of titlets. So I'm looking forward to that because at least I will get to see some titlets for once. That's going to be the next big case. And then no one remembers Karen Reed. So maybe, just maybe, if you really want a defense fund to help you with all of these expenses, you need to also remember who helped you the first time. Maybe she doesn't need money. Well, then she shouldn't have a Gifts and Go. Because remember, yesterday the Foreskins said that the House defendants has $200,000 in the bank. Karen Reed is at $71,000. Probably most of you have forgotten that even existed if I didn't mention it. So maybe the ice cream, not ice cream, but the ice queen needs to defrost a little bit. Dead kids, nope. There's no dead kids in the Courtney Clenny case. The Courtney Clenny case is an OnlyFans model who allegedly self-defended her by throwing a knife into the chest of her boyfriend. Has nothing to do with that. Why do we get to see boobies? She was an OnlyFans model. I believe she needs to fight the McAlpins with Aiden. I hope she doesn't try and break off. If she tries and break off, then Aiden is also able to. Imagine if Aiden got sufficiently pissed and he went in and said, every piece of evidence I have ever used, I got from Karen Reed. Natalie the German was our go-between. Everything I have said, I believe because I got it from Karen Reed's mouth herself. I 100% believe Karen Reed. I had no reason to doubt her. That's his truth defense. Remember, the truth is the ultimate defense against defamation. He believed Karen Reed when she said all these nasty things. She was the ones who told him that Brian Albert did it in the kitchen with a wrench. I don't think it would be a good idea to try and split it off. I don't think that the Clenny case is going to help any men who is domestic violence victims. Because remember, we just saw 2 weeks ago how people who are domestic violence victims are treated just because they have a PP. Oh, that little guy is afraid of that woman. Oh, what man is afraid of a woman? It's going to be the same. I have watched Courtney Clenny punch her boyfriend, and people are like, well, we don't know why she was mad at him. If I had seen the opposite, him, Christian, punching her one time, that song had sounded very differently. Oh, it will be amazingly big. Trust me, it'll be, everyone will cover that trial. You want to make a bet on that one? This will be a big trial. Everyone has been talking about it for the last 2 years. Just her being an OnlyFans model makes it a great trial for TV. But tomorrow, Kelsey Fitzsimmons will be in family court. There are no Zoom link. We have tried. Marissa, the Wonder Mod, has already been in contact with court. There will be no Zoom link. I don't know if Law Girls Not Attorneys or Justice Serve TV will have a feed up. And I hope so. It's at 10 a.m. I hope they will have a feed. If so, we'll cover it. If not, we will have to see what comes out after. But that's going to be on the program. My world is still landing to one side, so I have to do a lot of grown-up stuff when I'm not on stream. So I will be spotty. I will be streaming whenever I have the time and the energy to do it. But until everything is back in I don't know what that's called, on level, I will I'll do what I do, but I'll do it in a less amount. But life isn't always peachy green, even for an amazing YouTuber like me. So yeah. Equilibrium. We'll call it equilibrium. But I'll try and do as much content as I can. But I will not be back at an 8-hour schedule every day for a little while. I have some stuff I need to clear up, and then we can go back. I just need to start up my drug habit again, and then everything will be fine. What? What are you talking about? Who said drugs? Everyone. This was Monday. It's a fun day. Porshia Pelican seems to be an idiot.
While I'm waiting for this, did you, whether it's true or not, believe that Mr. Randolph had slept with your wife?
I wouldn't have cared.
You wouldn't have cared?
No,
Did you believe he had slept with your wife?
no,
Did you believe he slept with your mother-in-law?
probably did. Everybody has.
So that-
Everybody has.